5 mistakes that even famous intuitives make with their 5 sensory partners. The big overall message is that we assume as 6 sensories that 5 sensories are the same as us. Even really famous people like a medium or a psychic can sometimes believe that about their partner. And I've seen this happen over and over again. We assume because we as 6 sensories are capable of transformation and change that our 5 sensory partner can do the same. And while it's possible that they may change on their own volition, it's very rare that we can trigger a transformation or change. And in fact, it actually backfires and makes our relationship with them worse. So I'll give you some examples. First of all, we might give them a book or a course, to study. And we as 6 sensories will study the heck out of that book, we'll make notes in the margins, we will watch the videos, we will keep a whole diary on something sometimes, writing down bits and pieces of information on a particular topic that's really important to us. And then we think, because this information is so precious to us, when we hand it to our 5 sensory partner, it could be about relationships, it could be about spirituality, it could be about whatever, and you're like, this is how you can better understand me. You think that they're going to study it carefully and it's going to be as meaningful and life transformative for them as it was for us as a 6 sensory, and it's just not true. When they study this information, if they look at it at all, they're actually going to feel very resentful, and they're probably not going to buy into it because it came from us. And even if we leave books out in the open, I've heard some therapists mention that this is a good idea too. 5 sensories are very quick to pick up on the fact that we're leaving something out in the open for them to read because we subtly want them to read it, and they will ignore it and feel resentful that you left the piece of information out for them to see, or the book. They would rather actually not know about what you're studying. They'd rather you keep it secret and mysterious. Why? Because 5 sensories love a mystery. They love that they can't figure you out. So instead of actually sharing information with them and making that mistake, what you want to do instead is keep the things that are important to you a mystery. Keep them secret. Not because you're ashamed of them or you want to hide them. It's because 5 sensories love a secret. So being shameful and hiding it is also a mistake. But if you're doing it with the right intention to say, this is really important to me, this is really sacred, and I'm not even going to share it with people who are even the slightest bit skeptical, the slightest bit negative, because it's that important, that's when the 5 sensory might on their own volition be interested and maybe want you to share that information with them. And then at that point, it might make sense if they ask from their own willpower, from their own volition, for that piece of information that you haven't been sharing with them. The next mistake that 6 sensories make in their relationships with 5 sensories is that they're too graphic about their physical bodies. So 6 sensories may share a lot about their physical body because we're trying to improve, maybe we're trying to lose weight or improve our digestion, improve our diet with each other. And it's awesome to share that information and be open to each other about this type of bodily function, because maybe by one person sharing their vulnerabilities with the other 6 sensory, we can learn from it and improve our own bodily function, or just, relate to it and go, wow, that's amazing. I didn't know somebody else felt that way the way that I do. But when we share bodily functions with 5 sensories and we're like, oh, I have to do a bowel movement, or oh, I'm gonna leave the door open and pee in front of you, or oh, I'm gonna leave something in the toilet bowl because I don't wanna flush and waste resources. The problem with these types of actions when you initiate it as the 6 sensory is that you become less mysterious to the 5 sensory. And as you become less mysterious, they become more bored. And then there's no spark left in your relationship. It's like you've decoded your whole body and how everything works. It's like, this is how this works and this is how that works. If the 5 sensory asks and is genuinely interested to learn more about how your body works, again, that could be a little bit different. They are interested, they are showing initiative, they want to learn. So at that point, you can try sharing a little bit and see how they respond. Give them bite-sized pieces of information, but don't tell them too much, and then see how they process it. Watch and evaluate to see if they're really taking it to heart and doing something for you that's really healthy for you. But don't share anything about your body unless a five sensory asks for it. And even if a five sensory asks for it, still be careful. Like, for example, if it's about your intimacy or your sexuality, sometimes five sensories are digging for information because they want to get intimate with you sooner, or they want to manipulate you in some way. So be careful about that too, especially about sexual things. But I mean, if they're trying to take care of you because physically you're not feeling well and they ask questions and they're interested, then you can share. But having said that, take care of your own body first. Don't count on a five sensory to take care of your body, because usually they can't. They don't understand your body. They don't understand how sensitive you are because they're not that sensitive. And so they won't get it. So there's just not that much point in talking to them about it. And then the next tip I have to help transform your relationships, if you're making these mistakes as a sixth sensory, is that you don't share too much about your finances, good or bad. Don't tell them about what's going on in your bank accounts. And you might be like, well, isn't that supposed to be something we share about? Like, don't all the financial gurus say you have to talk about this and you have to come up with a plan long term in order to commit? And yeah, there's absolutely truth in that, but the problem is if you initiate that conversation as a sixth sensory, it backfires on you. If you have poor finances, it will backfire on you because it will scare the five sensory away. If you have really good finances, then they're going to be interested for the wrong reason to take advantage of you financially. And then if you're somewhere in the middle, again, they can still treat you like maybe you have poor finances because maybe you're not that rich, right? And so you want to keep finances to yourself until five sensories are open and sharing their finances with you first, and they're keenly interested in building some kind of committed plan. But up until then, don't share any financial information with them, good or bad, because they will use it to manipulate you in one way or the other. They'll either try to give you false security because maybe you're not doing so well, or maybe they will act like they're Prince Charming because they know you have money, and basically they're going to divorce you later once they're able to get access to it. I've seen this happen a lot with wealthier couples where the woman had more wealth and she bought a house and the guy was living in it, and then he just divorced her and took the house. Happens actually quite a bit in bigger cities in my country. So my next tip to six sensories in order to fix their relationships with five sensories by not making this mistake is to not share your plans, your dreams, your ambitions with the five sensory. And you might be like, why is that? Actually, you can share if you like, and you don't care about the five sensories response. You just have no attachment to how they feel about it. But very likely they are going to poo-poo whatever dream you have. Doesn't matter what it is. It's like going back to school, it's building a business, it's writing a book, or it's traveling to another country. They're likely to poo-poo it. Now, giving constructive feedback is a bit different. Sometimes they might say, be careful about X, Y, and Z when you're doing that. And that's actually constructive feedback, and that's okay. However, a lot of the time, five sensories are a little bit skeptical and they're a little bit lazy to investigate things thoroughly. They just kind of assume things will turn out bad when you put yourself out there. And so they'll be very quick to like scrutinize and tear apart your dreams most of the time. Even they could be well-intentioned. They may actually genuinely fall in love with you and still feel incredibly negative towards your dreams. So what I recommend you do instead is keep your dreams private and don't talk to five sensories about it until like they really manifest and blossom into something that's very concrete and real. And then you can sort of start filling them in a little bit when changes start happening in your life as a result of you working on your dreams. In the meantime, keep your dreams as private as possible for them and share it with your six sensory community. Don't share it with your five sensory family or partners. Just keep this private because they're probably not going to help you. And then my last but not least relationship mistake that intuitives can make in their relationships with 5 sensories is that they become dependent in some way on the 5 sensory at some juncture of the relationship. There's a difference between interdependency and dependent. Sometimes if we have children, for example, there is a little bit of dependency going on. You're kind of counting on the partner to take care of you temporarily while you're caring for a small child, and it can't be helped. It's like hard to work full time and have a little baby at home unless you have expensive daycare, and sometimes daycare costs more than looking after the child yourself. So what you need to do, instead of lulling yourself into that dependency after you've had a child, is you have to have an exit plan from being the stay-at-home parent and get back to work as soon as possible. Don't let too much time elapse between the time you've taken off work and then the time you go back to work and start getting relevant skills again. Or if you're in a business, don't let too much time elapse while you're having children and then you get back into the business game. The more time that elapses, the harder it is to get back into the game of earning money, whichever vehicle you choose in order to earn money. Because things change at a rapid pace. They change fast in the workplace, they change even faster in business. So if you're not on top of things and you've been out of the game for a while, you can have a really rough ride jumping back into the game, much rougher than you imagined. So I'm not saying don't have kids, but do keep this in mind if you are having children, and be prepared with some kind of plan to get back in the game. Have some manageable bite-sized pieces of things that you can do while you're raising your kid as an infant that you can work on 15 or 20 minutes at a time, so you'll eventually get back on your feet long term.